Please accept my obeisances.
Jai.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukakaroti Vachalam Pangoram Gayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Niti Namine Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakata Damadaya Nagara Grama Tarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Can I please be allowed to share the screen? If you can make me co-host.
Yes. Give me a minute. Let me do that.
So today we will be discussing about a very special personality. And let me see if I can share this screen. I have the verse here, so we will just...
Okay.
In that way. Okay, so play from current slide. After the information reported, Matt is considering... All right. So Mahadev, Lord Shiva, who is the Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambho. So I offer my respectful obeisances to Mahadev, so he can allow us to enter into this important section of Srimad Bhagavatam, because Mahadev grants us the ability to enter the Dham and to enter the pastimes of the Lord. All right, we are studying the third canto, chapter 14, text 27. Yasyanavadya-charitam manasino gृह्ण्यन्त vidyapatalam bhibhatsava nirasta samyati sayopi yatsvayam pishachacharyam acharad ghati satam. Yasya, whose, anvayad, unimpeachable, acharitam, character, manisinaha, great sages, grananti, follow, avidya, nations, patalam, mass, bhibhatsavaha, desiring to dismantle, nirasta, nullified, samya, equality, atishayaha, greatness, api, in spite of, yat, as, swayam, personally, pishacha, devil, charyam, activities, acharat, performed, gatihi, destination, satam, of the devotees of the Lord. Translation: although no one in the material world is equal to or greater than Lord Shiva, and although this unimpeachable character is followed by great souls to dismantle the mass of nations, he nevertheless remains as if a devil to give salvation to all devotees of the Lord. Jai, Har Har Mahadev ki Jai. Can we have a volunteer to read this purport, please?
Anyone? All right, can I read?
Can I go?
Yeah.
Lord
Yeah.
Shiva's uncivilized,
Oh,
devilish characteristics are never abominable because he teaches the sincere devotees of the Lord how to practice detachment from material enjoyment. He is called, he is called Mahadev, or the greatest of all demigods. And no one is equal to or greater than him in the material world. He is almost equal with Lord Vishnu, although he always associates with Maya, Durga. He is above the reactionary stage of the three modes of material nature. And although he is in charge of devilish characters in the mode of ignorance, he is not affected by such association.
Hari bol. Next is 3rd Canto, 14th chapter, text 28. हस्यन्ति यश्चारितं हि दुर्भर्गः स्वात्मा रतस्या विदूषसंहितं यैर्वस्त्रमालाभयरणालुलेपनै स्वभोजनं स्वामतयोपललितम्. Unfortunate foolish persons, not knowing that he is engaged in his own self, laugh at him. Such foolish persons engage in maintaining the body, which is eatable by dogs, with dresses and ornaments, garlands and ointments. Hare Krishna. So we have the purport of this. I've divided the purport. So if we can have a volunteer to read the purport. I heard someone else wanted to read the previous one. So now is your chance if you like to read it.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Lord Shiva never accepts any luxurious dress, garland, ornament, or ointment. For those who are addicted to the decoration of the body, which is finally eatable by dogs, very luxuriously maintain it as a self. Such persons do not understand Lord Shiva, but they approach him for luxurious material comforts. There are two kinds of devotees of Lord Shiva. One class is the gross materialist seeking only bodily comforts from Lord Shiva, and the other class desires to
This meeting is being recorded.
Desires to become one with him.
Okay, there's more. You can continue if you like.
It's okay. They are most impersonalists and prefer to hold on.
Shivoham. I can't hear. Are you reading?
Sorry about that. I went to local. So they are mostly impersonalists and prefer to chant Shiva Ham. I am Shiva, or after liberation, I shall become one, Lord Shiva. End of quote. In other words, the Karmis and Gyanis are generally devotees of Lord Shiva, but they do not properly understand his real purpose in life. Sometimes, so-called devotees of Lord Shiva imitate him in using poisonous intoxicants. Lord Shiva once swallowed an ocean of poison, and thus his throat became blue. Imitation Shivas try to follow him by indulging in poisons, and thus they are ruined. They ruined. The real purpose of Lord Shiva is to serve the soul of the soul. Lord Krishna, he desires that all luxurious articles.
Articles such as, please finish this.
Yes, such as nice garments, garlands, ornaments, and cosmetics be given to Lord Krishna only, because Krishna is a real enjoyer. He refused to accept such luxurious items himself because they are only meant for Krishna. However, if they do not know this purpose, Lord Shiva, foolish persons either laugh at him or profitlessly try to imitate him.
Jai.
All right.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, yeah, thank you very much for volunteering to read. See, not all demons live outside. Some sit on your chest at night. Some whisper inside your mind. And some wear your voice, tell you to do bad things. And some are wounds, something subtle, something we cannot touch externally. Some wounds that are pretending to be willpower. Bhaktivinoda Thakur very beautifully elaborates how the demons that Krishna killed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Putana, Aghasura, Bakasura, Kaliya, all these demons live inside of us. Now, the word demon, we would have to redefine that. And nobody else but Mahadev, Lord Shiva, gives us the right understanding to see these demons from a perspective of Vaishnava and also to deal with the inner demons that we have in the way of Mahadev. What is the way of Mahadev? The Mahadev's way is not to violently kill anything that is negative and destructive and demoniac. They're not to be killed violently. In fact, we see that even Krishna, he didn't just kill them. He didn't just discard them. He actually, in one sense, converted them. He actually redeemed them. He gave them liberation. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is speaking about this poison that Mahadev drank to save the world. So that's the compassion that is required to deal with negativity. Now, if you look at Krishna, he also turned around the whole situation when he had to deal with Putana. Putana is one of the demons that represents a false guru. So what Krishna did, he doesn't just liberate her, he also gives her a position of a motherly position of a nurse in the spiritual world. That's the eternal place. She was only a demon for a while. So there are the phases of life. And in the words of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, did you know that Lord Chaitanya left Shikshashtakam and he also left Shivashtakam? Those are the only two things he actually left in writing. So in the Murari Gupta diary, you'll see in the Back to Godhead magazine also you'll find this. It's called Shivashtakam by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'll be quoting from that. I'll quote all the 8 verses throughout as I am trying to explain the relevance of these verses about Mahadev and understanding. So the first is Namo Namaste Tridasheshwaraya Bhutadinathaya Mridaya Nityam Ganga Tarangodita Balachandra Chudaya Gauri Nayanotsavaya. So Lord
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. It seems our speaker had an issue with power outage, I believe. We hope she'll be able to get back.
So
Yeah.
sorry for the interruption. The electricity went out for dramatic re-entrance of the verse of translation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's words. So Mahaprabhu, as he's entering in Jagannath Puri inside the Mahadev temple, Lord Shiva's temple, he's saying, I bow down again and again to Lord Shiva. Oh, you, the master of the 30,000 devatas. Yet, even of all the devatas, you hold the broken-hearted. He's saying, I pay my obeisances to the primordial father of all living beings, whose very nature is of compassion and not power alone. I bow to you, crowned with the moon, born of the Ganges waves, a living festival for Gauri's eyes, the one beauty she never she never tires of beholding. Shri Gauri Netrotsava. So he's like a joy to Gauri Devi because of his great qualities, but also he's very soft and humble. One meaning of Shiva, Mahadev, literally Shiva, the meaning is also auspicious. Worshipping Lord Shiva is recommended for inauspicious persons or inauspiciousness in our hearts, because he has this ability to transform ignorance, to gradually to bring that in the mode of goodness. And not just that, Mahaprabhu actually says he actually has the ability to all the Trayalokya, it comes later, Tridasheshwaraya. So he is a lot of past, present, and future, but he can also transform the ignorance into goodness. He can transform the evil into divine. Because he's sometimes when we are going through difficult times, like the ghosts in our mind, I'd say, so we have to approach the one who is the most merciful. Because in very dark moments, when we feel really lost, when we feel this cry of the soul, when we read the acharyas and we see the qualification that is required to actually enter spiritual realm, and we feel unqualified, that's when Mahadev and also Mahaprabhu's mercy becomes available. So Mahaprabhu is saying, Sudhamshu Suryagni Vilochanena Tamo Bhidete Jagata Shivaya Sahasra Shubhramshu Sahasra Rashmi Sahasratvajit Tvaratejasestu. So Gauranga Mahaprabhu is saying Shiva, Lord Shiva is the light that enters the darkness. Krishna is given that Sankarshan energy in Mahadev. So he enters the darkness, and then what does he do? The three-eyed mercy. Tamo bidhete jagata shivaya. So the three-eyed mercy of the Lord means he has three eyes. Mahadev has three eyes. He has one third eye here in the middle of the Agnya Chakra, middle of the two eyes. And Mahaprabhu is saying here that mercy, it turns our inner ghosts towards God. And it's very poetically putting it that through 1,000 lights of grace, he turns even the inner ghosts towards God. So because Mahadev has this capacity to never reject anybody, the ghosts and the goblins and the most angry and the most envious, no matter the state of mind, Mahadev does not care about any external qualification, whether somebody is exhausted, tired, angry, jealous, ashamed. He doesn't demand purity before we enter that desire of wanting devotion. That's why he's very merciful, especially to Vaishnavas. Any Vaishnava goes to him, he immediately removes all obstacles. I want to share a personal story. This was 25 years ago. And I was in love with somebody, and I really wanted to marry that person. And I was very attached. And I heard one of my neighbor aunties tell me that if you worship Shiva, Mahadev, he will give you the husband that you want. And of course, I was very determined, and I started worshiping Shiva. I remember the first puja I did, it was like a lot of fasting and very, very nice puja. I remember doing this puja, and after a couple of weeks of intent, full focus, Mahadev, I would really like this person to marry me. After 2 weeks of that puja, my heart changed. My heart shifted. And then the desire became, Mahadev, I think I want to marry this person, but I'm not sure. Actually, I want to marry a person that is good for my spiritual life. That is somebody that you think will be really good for my Krishna consciousness. So I shifted that prayer. This was actually 16 weeks puja. So after 2 weeks, my heart shifted, and I was worshipping Mahadev as a devotee of Krishna.
What is we hope? Okay.
Happens.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back.
Yes.
And yeah, I shifted my puja, and I said, actually, Mahadev, I want somebody better than the one I asked you at the beginning of the puja. Please give me somebody better. And of course, I got married to Kanteya Prabhu. He was the one that appeared on the last day of this puja. The point, what I'm trying to make is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is emphasizing here that Lord Shiva is the guru of everybody. He says he's the guru of the three worlds. Even Narada Muni, Brahma, Kumaras, everybody go to Lord Shiva to take advice. Mahaprabhu is saying these paragraphs. So sometimes I may think I want this. This is the solution to my problems. But whenever we are in doubt, we should just give it to Mahadev and say, you please give us the ability. Because Mahadev is the Ashutosha. He's very easily pleased. And also, other day, they have so many projects. And Lord Shiva has only one rule. Come as you are. Authenticity. You are the most fallen, great, better. The more you accept that you're most fallen, I'll give you mercy immediately. Even if you're broken, especially if you're broken, that's Mahadev, especially if you're a ghost, if you're like lost. And his associates, we know, right? He gives mercy to the ghosts and the goblins and the spirits and all the rejected beings. Why? Because he's teaching that what society rejects, all the Prabhupada is mentioning, all the opulences, luxury. Sometimes even devotees of Mahadev, they go to Mahadev and ask for material benedictions. And Mahadev is like, you're bothering me. I'm busy here. Shri Ram Govinda Mukunda Shauri, Shri Krishna Narayana Vasudeva, Ityadi Namamritapana Matta, Bringadipaya Khila Dukka Hantre. So Gauranga Mahaprabhu is saying that his lotus mouth of Lord Shiva is always busy. The flowing of holy name is happening from his lotus mouth of Rama, Govinda, Shauri, Krishna, Narayana. And when materialistic people go to him and bother him, give me this, give me that, give me a house by the sea. So then Mahadev says, don't bother me. Okay, take it, go get lost. So Prabhupada is emphasizing that he doesn't care about material things, but still his followers sometimes go to him. But when we go as a devotee, wow, he can give us the best devotional situation, the best consciousness, because he rules the mind, he rules the consciousness. Oh, by the way, the translation of that verse that Mahaprabhu is saying, Gauranga Mahaprabhu is saying, is that from his feet flows the nectar that purifies the mind, granting the only treasure that's worth having, which is pure love of Lord Hari. So this is Mahadev, this is Lord Shiva. And see, the point that we're studying here today is very relevant in our daily life, because the mind is poisoned. And Mahadev drank the poison from the ocean, churning of the ocean. Nila Kanta Trishula Damaruha Stalankrita Raksha Hala Netraka Mala Rundamani Mala Drita Vaksha Shilaranya Vishala Suguna Salila Suradhyaksha Srila Kumishana Volayisuva Bhaktavaliಗಳ Paksha. This is a song written by a Vaishnava Acharya called Purandaradasa. And he actually glorifies Mahadev as the one who has the ability, just like he drank the poison to save the world, he holds different weapons to gently remove, not chop off, the word is scrap off the anarthas, so that our will can become aligned to God's will. And what is God in this song? The God is Lakshmi and Krishna, Lakshmi and Narayan. A will can actually turn towards Lakshmi and Narayan. So that's the capacity of Mahadev. So Krishna has given the position of Mano Abhimani Devata. In astrology, right? I'm an astrologer, so we study every planet has deities. And so the most difficult of all planets is not Saturn, is not Mars, is not Rahu, it's actually Moon. Moon is the most difficult planet, because any little bad transit that goes through Moon, we become depressed, we become hopeless, we become addictions. Everything is controlled by the ability of the strength of the Moon determines how much we're able to overcome difficulties, because Rahu shows where is the difficulty in an astrological chart, and Moon shows whether we'll overcome that or not. And Mahadev is so important because among all the gods, all the planets, he's the ruler of that moon. Why? Because the moon is what says, I feel good about this. I feel not good about this. I like this. I don't like this. I think I should do this. This is mine. This is me. All these tiny declarations. I am guilty. I am fearful. All these things are built across our lifetimes, built and destroyed, because moon is very fluctuating. It's very jumpy. It's not constant. So more than any other senses in our body, any graha, any planet that grabs and holds you, moon rules that ability to transform our destiny. If the mind is turbulent, Arjuna is telling Krishna, right? Manah chanchalam hi manah Krishna. He's saying the mind is so fluctuating, so flickering. It's even easier to control the wind than controlling my mind. Arjuna tells Krishna. So even the best astrological chart, great chart, great sun, great wealth and everything, if the moon, the mind is unstable, that even the greatest chart will become very weak. But if that one planet, moon, is controlled, no matter the difficulties, will be uplifted. And astrologically, when somebody has a problem with the mind, we say, worship Mahadev. Mahadev gives you steady mind. Chandra Chuda Shiva Shankara Parvati Ramana Ninage Namo Namo. This is a verse that declares that he's the Lord. In fact, he's the Lord also of the sun, but specifically I'm focusing on moon today. And because moon, this whole Bhagavatam story reveals the story of moon itself. He was cursed by Daksha by doing partiality with the wives, and then he gets cursed to wane and lose his capacity. So sometimes we also have curses, some addictions, some weaknesses. We are cursed. And then who comes and saves? Mahadev comes and saves. So he takes the crescent moon and he solves the problem of moon losing all his capacity. And he says, okay, I will help you to, so I will smooth out your curse. And he wears the Chandra, Chuda, Shiva Shankara, Parvati, he wears it on his, what do you call it? The head dreadlock, the dreadlocks. He's wearing it on his head. And therefore, he can control the fluctuations of emotions for us, the tides of thoughts, the tangles of identity, the storms of our inner desires that is taking us away from spiritual life, the ghosts of memories, unresolved wounds of childhood, the cravings that destroy us. All these functions are stored in the planet moon. So and Mahadev has the power to not suppress them, but he sits with them. He heals them. He transforms them. How amazing. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur also actually says these demons must be converted. You need to deal with the demons, convert them. And so Shiva is that converter, converter of the demons. Then this is a next paragraph of the Mahaprabhu's words. Sutaptachami karachandra nila padma pravalam budakanti vastre sunrityarangeshtvara pradaya kaivalyanathaya vrishadvajaya. We saw in the beginning, the picture I showed you, he's riding on this huge bull, Nandishvara. And Mahaprabhu is saying, I bow to Lord Shiva. He's clothed in fine clothes, but in colors that mirrors the mood of the creation. And he's also, the molten gold comes as a connection between Mahaprabhu and Mahadev. And he has, his skin color is like the darkness of the monsoon clouds, just like Krishna's color. And he's the guru of the world. And he says, Lord Shiva, who dances and gives the sweetest gifts to his devotees, to your devotees, means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying to the devotees of Hari. Mahadev gives mercy to the devotees of Lord Hari, because only one who has broken his ego can dance with such effortless grace. I bow down to you, the one who guides the impersonalists and the keeper of the bull banner, the quiet master who teaches that beneath all forms and formlessness, the heart must still learn to surrender. So when we're reading in the purports that Prabhupada is saying, some people misunderstand Shiva. Even devotees sometimes misunderstand Shiva. Oh, why are you worshipping Shiva? We don't need Shiva. But actually, you can't enter the Dham without Shiva. If you go to Mayapur in Yogapith, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he built this temple for Lord Shiva. There are two Shiva lingams. One is Kshetrapalak Mahadev. So this is Mahadev who gives you permit, residence permit, entrance permit, visa to enter any dham. Even in Vrindavan, without permission of Mahadev, nobody can step into the dham. And then there's Gopeshwar Mahadev. Gopeshwar Mahadev is in charge of giving entrance into the Leelas of the Lord. So he's the one basically who approves that you can build a building there anywhere, right? That a permit to actually understand the Lord's pastimes. And he also is Mrityunjaya Ninnutama Padavi Anutanu Sarvatra. So he conquers death. He conquers ghosts. Nothing is tough for him. So there is a nice quote: don't go to God and tell God how big your problems are. Go to your problem and tell the problem how big your God is. So we should be even kind to our problems by telling them, don't worry, Mahadev and Mahaprabhu is going to handle this. So he behaves sometimes by mixing with all these ghosts and everybody. Why? Because he wants to show us the truth that your mind is not too dark for God to deal with it. Sometimes at least I get very bogged down looking at my own darkness and I get scared. But I must tell that problem that you may be dark, you may be scary, but the lords that I worship, they can handle you. No trauma is too ugly for the holiness of devotees like Mahadev to solve it. Because he sits in ashes, he can sit in your heart no matter how messed up it is. And he can evoke bhakti, which is inherent in our hearts. So Shiva is not the god of the proud, but in other words, we need some qualification, and that qualification is powerlessness, the helplessness, the cry. We need to cry to the Lord, and the cry of those downtrodden, no? The ghosts and the spirits who have no body loitering around. They committed suicide, maybe they were murdered. All those kind of souls, they take shelter in Mahadev. So I was thinking today that, oh, my situation is similar to the ghost because so many weaknesses, the addictions, the grief, the sadness, and all my, what do you call it, like parts of my mind that are shattered around aimlessly, purposeless. Kindly mute yourselves, but don't mute your problems, okay? And then the repentance that I feel sometimes bogs me down. And then when I was reading the translation of Mahaprabhu's prayer to Lord Shiva, whoa, Lord Shiva is the boss of the confused. He doesn't find anybody emotionally exhausted. Even souls with no bodies, for him, oh, no problem. And the spiritually hungry and the ones who are messed up royally, basically, all those, because he sits in the crematory ground, how do you call it? Cremation ground. And why does he sit in the cremation ground? He wants to teach us that nothing you cling to will save you, only surrender. I'm talking about the cremation grounds. There is a sort of a cremation ground within also. So we can ask Mahadev to descend there and purify us. Advaita Acharya is Mahadev and Mahavishnu combined. Is a combination tattva of Mahavishnu and Mahadev together. He has the heart of Shiva, the compassion of Lord Shiva in his heart. And he has the Vishnu's ability, no? So together, he's calling Mahaprabhu 500 years ago, before Lord Chaitanya was born. The mercy of Mahadev is manifesting through Advaita Acharya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More Toma bina ke dayalo jagat samsare patita pavana hetu tava avatara Mosama patita prabhu napai beara. Nobody, no one, no other incarnation, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, nobody is as merciful as Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So to that Gauranga, he's calling. Advaita Acharya, the incarnation of Shiva, is crying, calling, screaming, he's roaring. And he's inviting the Lord. What is he saying? Oh, merciful of, most merciful of all avatars. Because you saved the churning of the ocean, no? When churning of the ocean was happening, Krishna came as Kurma and he saved the day. And so Kali Yuga, the call is coming through Mahadev in the form of Advaita Acharya. He's calling because anybody calls Gauranga Mahaprabhu is not going to appear. The right person has to call, and the right person is that Mahadev in the form of Advaita Acharya. He's calling the Lord. No one else can summon him. And so he's saying, Gauranga, please come. People are drowning in pain, in addictions, in miserable conditions. Come and rescue their minds, protect their consciousness. Only you can save the world. Wake them up. Jeev Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole. So when Advaita Acharya invokes, he's offering tulasi water, Ganges water, and he was crying. And then those tears that shook the universe, that also brought Gauranga Mahaprabhu's mercy. So he's calling that great force of golden incarnation to come. So even God cannot resist the cry of a great devotee like Advaita Acharya, who's Mahadev. So what Advaita Acharya is also, his teachings, his example, it shows that the tearful turning point is very important. I was studying with my friend Madhurya Kadambini, and we were studying how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur very easily drops the bombs of different anarthas here and there, one sentence here, there. But when he's explaining those anarthas, and I'm like, oh my God, that's there in me. Oh yes, this one. And then he doesn't say what to do with it. It's like, what do I do with all this? All the hopes are going to die in me. Sometimes my mind has become like a cemetery. And reading the scriptures brings up more and more how unqualified I am. In such moments, we can actually remember where hopes are going to die. The hopes are going to their own funerals. And the ghosts of memories and failures and fear is wandering in my heart. Instead of bhakti, instead of qualification, all I have is a crematorium of all accumulated anarthas. Then in those moments, we can remember the words of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. श्रीगौरीनेत्रोत्सवमङ्गलाय तत्प्राणनाथाय रासप्रदाय सदा सुमुखान्तगोविन्दलीला गानप्रवीणाय नमोस्तुभ्यं. This is such a beautiful translation. Gauranga Mahaprabhu is saying, I bow down to Lord Shiva, who is the hidden festival in the eyes of Gauri, Parvati Devi, known only to those who see beyond your ashes. I bow down to you, the keeper of her very breath, whose heart gives transcendental rasa even to the broken. I bow down to you, who sings Govinda's pastimes with aching longing, proving that even the Lord of Ghosts hungers for divine love. I mean, this is a creative translation of it, but Mahaprabhu is really like Shri Gauri Netrotsava Mangalaya, and he's also saying that Lord Shiva's face is always with a smile. He's always smiling, thinking of Gauranga Mahaprabhu's pastimes. But of course, Lord Chaitanya is not saying Gauranga there. He's saying he's thinking of Hari. But we know later, if you read Mayapur Navadvip Leela pastime, Mahadev got so eager to hear about Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he thought this bull of mine, Nandi, is going to take too long to reach. So he borrowed Brahma's Hamsa, the swan. He jumped and he swooped down. And then he came down to Modudrumadvip. There's actually a deity of Mahadev on the Hamsa Vahana. That's a place called Hamsa Vahana. Because in such moments where our feelings takes over, our failures takes center stage, when we feel helpless and when we feel powerless, in that moments we don't need something shiny and great. Actually, what we need is that God, that because Gaurang Mahaprabhu is saying that Lord Shiva is not different from Hari. So we need that Advaita, we need that Lord Shiva's mercy. So we can go to Gopishwar Mahadev and pray, please purify my consciousness so that my will and my life can be handed over to Lord Gauranga. So my mission can be completed as a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We can pray like this to Mahadev when our mind wanders and we're not steady. So let's take a few seconds to connect to that helplessness we may experience and sow the seed of mercy of Lord Shiva in our hearts as we are glorifying him. So as we are meditating, you can visualize Lord Shiva at the gates of Brajadham, Vrindavan Dham. He's there at the gate of Vrindavan, not as a warrior. He's there as a beggar of love. And he's protecting the Dham. He's giving the entrance to understand Krishna's the depth and the depth and the mercy of the holy name he can reveal. He can give us the ability to understand the pastimes. He can give us the vision, as Mahaprabhu is saying in that song, he can give us the vision to see the form of the Lord. Even in our own mind's eye, Mahadev is the controller of consciousness, controller of the mind. So the visualization, the ability we have to visualize is actually directly connected and empowered by Mahadev, Manobhimani Devata. Because there are different demigods that rule different parts of our body. The eyes are ruled by Ashwini Devatas, different nerves, different parts of the body are ruled by different demigods. But the ability to visualize, the consciousness, the ability to mentally manifest things is ruled by Mahadev, Lord Shiva. So we can ask Mahadev to convert our demons, to be able to pour our hearts into Krishna consciousness, to burn our egos. And with that fire, because fire needs to be transformed. And the fire for material desires may become a yagya to chant the holy name, which is the Sankirtan yagya. And so we can enter the pastimes of the Lord. We can dive into the taste of the holy name. And then there's only one Lord, who is Krishna, one Supreme Lord. But there are so many uncles and aunties in the spiritual realm that can help us. So for me personally, Lord Shiva is a spiritual uncle. Krishna is the father and Mahadev is uncle. Sometimes uncles are more merciful than the father. So we can go and bow our mind and ask Mahadev to smoothen our lessons so we can reach Krishna faster. एतत् शिवाष्टकम् अद्भुतं महत् शृण्वन् हरिप्रेम लभते शीघ्रं ज्ञानं च विज्ञानमपूर्ववैभवं यो भावपूर्णाः परमं समाधरम्. In this last paragraph, Gauranga Mahaprabhu is actually declaring whoever, any person with feelings who hears these Ashtottara of Shiva Ashtotram with rapt attention can quickly gain Hari Prema. Labhathe Shigram, very quickly can attain. Because through the mercy of Mahadev, we get an ambulance. You can immediately go, no traffic rules, no traffic signals. You can directly go and attain Krishna Prema as well as transcendental knowledge. Apurva Vaibhavam, Yobhava Purnaha Paramam Samadharam. Not only knowledge, realized knowledge. realization of that knowledge and unprecedented powers can be attained. This is the benediction, this is the Phalastuti of those 8 stanzas that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us. So I feel very grateful to have had this opportunity to speak of Lord Mahadev. Now I will stop here and see if anybody has any comments, any questions.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, as always, Her Grace Sri Radha Govinda Devi, for sharing with us this beautiful wealth of wisdom. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, you may want to ask, share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or share your reflections. Hare Krishna. See, Mother, I have this question. In this material world, we are not better than in the spiritual world in all sort of things, in any way. That is, if we think we have love, the comparison of our love with that in the spiritual world is like something very miniature, very, very minute. But even in this material world, if you, Mother Sri Radha Govinda Devi, if you happen to be my friend, and I only come to you when I need help, after I receive the help, I do not know you anymore, then what sort of friend am I? So there are some devotees who will approach Mahadev, Lord Shiva, for a particular help. Like you were giving yourself as an example, you were praying to Lord Shiva, but most of us, even when we do pray to Lord Shiva, I mean, us as Vaishnava devotees, we pray to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva helps fulfill our request of prayer. Then we run away from him. We only concentrate on Krishna. So if devotees, Vaishnava devotees do that, then what sort of friendship or adoration do we actually have for Mahadev? Don't we become like a very ungrateful people, ungrateful souls that we only approach when we are in need, and we are not in need, we do not care about Lord Shiva?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, I mean, this perspective is valid from a human perspective, okay?
Yeah.
But I'm remembering Godruma Kalpatavi, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote this Godruma Kalpatavi. This is the market, Namahatta, right? The market of the holy name. And different acharyas, I'm thinking of Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself. He calls himself the sweeper of the market of the holy name. It's like, wow. Why would anybody call himself a sweeper? He's like an acharya. So the words and its meaning are different from a spiritual perspective. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, I'm a sweeper, he keeps the marketplace clean, right? So when we're thinking of Mahadev also, why would you want to drink poison? You could take anything. Why would you choose to take poison? Well, because nobody else can do it. So if I think many of you here are mothers or fathers, so you would understand if, and also aunties and uncles. So sometimes the kids, no, they come to you only when they want the candy. And then they forget you, they go and play with their other friends, right? But you don't mind. You don't mind. You give them the candy next time anyway. Of course, if you're a healthy adult, if you're an unhealthy adult, you may have your own psychological problems and take revenge even from kids. So for Mahadev, we are kids, we're children. I'm thinking of my own story when I used to approach Mahadev. From very childhood, I always had that mood that Mahadev is very merciful. If you go and ask uncle, uncle will immediately give, right? And I can see how he gave me situations, even if I approached him only for material things, when I wanted things. But the situation he gave me helped me to come closer to Krishna, helped me chant better somehow. So that's the power of great devotees. Even their curses are blessings, right? What to speak of their blessings? So yeah, these two things. And I was also thinking of this Madhurya Kadambini by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Very clearly explains that bhakti is so powerful, it's so independent. It doesn't depend on all these things. So, yes, it's true, I have neglected the holy name, I've neglected bhakti, I've been engaged in so much nonsensical activities for lifetime after lifetime. But the nature of Bhakti Devi is the moment we invoke her, she's readily, happily jumping at us. That's Krishna, that's bhakti, that's spiritual life. So unlike material, like you said, material friendship would be like, oh, Prabhu, you did not call me for the last 12 years and now you are in trouble, you want me. We may ask. But spiritual shelter is not conditional. Bhakti Devi is unconditional. She doesn't have any conditions for us to approach. Yeah, it's far out. We're still studying that, and it's mind-boggling how amazing it is. At the same time, there's the other side of reality that because I may chant 64 rounds, there's no guarantee that I will attain prema or any stage of devotional thing. It's only attained through that humility and mercy. It's up to Krishna. So similarly, mercy of devotees is like that. It's causeless. When somebody told Srila Prabhupada, we are so fortunate. I don't know what great things we had done in previous life. And Prabhupada said, you're nothing. It's nothing. It's not your good fortune. I brought you the good fortune. So that's Mahadev. It's causeless mercy that they give. Great devotees and acharyas, they give us causeless mercy. Does it kind of help give framework of the context to the question?
Yes, especially the analogy of kids running to uncles, aunties for sweets. And that really clicks a lot.
Yeah.
It does.
But you know what? At one point, you have to grow up and stop asking for candies and do something a little bit more. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Mahadev is very clever. Here, we are actually in South India, and there's a temple here that some sad guru built for Mahadev. It's huge, big. Let me actually share my screen and show you this. It's huge Mahadev. And the guy who built it is not even a devotee, his whole philosophy is all messed up and whatnot. But Lord Shiva uses that. Lord Shiva or Krishna use people, the children mentality of people, to do something great. You see, this is the temple.
Yeah.
In Coimbatore, you see the size of the people and you see the size of the deity. It's huge. See that big. It's like super big Shiva. So sometimes the childish mentality for fame or whatever, the Lord knows how to use it to get some bigger thing done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the darshan of Mahadev in Coimbatore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank
Okay.
you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. I remember some time ago, His Holiness Guru Govinda Maharaj visited our country, Ghana, and he visited one member's home. So the member had, of course, a devotee always tries to have a little bit of altar in the home. So he looked at his altar and he had Lakshmi Narayan deity on the altar. And Guru Govinda Maharaj instructed him to remove them, to remove Lakshmi Narayan. of course, as a Grihastha, he was worshiping Lakshmi Narayan for good fortune, which we all need, especially as Grihasthas. And then Guru Govinda Maharaj went ahead to explain that we as Vaishnavas only have one pinpointed focus, that is Krishna. So if I'm asking you not to keep Lakshmi Narayan on the altar, why do you think I would ask you to keep Lord Shiva on your altar? So Guru Govinda Maharaj was telling, there weren't many of us, but a few of us, about 10, 12 devotees, that we as ISKCON devotees only concentrate on Krishna. But that does not also mean that we, excuse to say, disrespect Lord Shiva. So my question then is, when you indicated that you prayed to Lord Shiva, was that a matter of a family tradition, or was it as a result of ISKCON teachings?
I knew that somebody will ask that. Thank you. Yes, it's very important to consider the cultural background, etc. I grew up in a Madhva family. For us growing up, Shiva was part of the family. We go to Krishna's temple, we know that Krishna is the supreme person, and Shiva is right there. The sister, the lady Durga Devi is right there, and Ganesh, the son of Shiva and Parvati, is right there, and they're all family. We never had any issues with looking at them as demigods, but we grew up like that. But then if somebody is a convert, suddenly they come from no religion to Krishna consciousness, already it's a big shock, cultural shock. On top of that, you introduce this Shiva who wears snakes around him and has ash around. Then you have this elephant face god, and then his belly is very big. Then he has to tie with snake. People get bewildered. And then there's goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi and Narayan, and people get attracted. Oh yeah, Narayan sounds good. Krishna, I don't know. Krishna book, yeah, sounds okay. But I think Narayan, Lakshmi, wow, fortune. So there is a lot of lack of knowledge, lack of perspective, right? But when you grow, depends on what kind of family we grow. Well, another example, I give you practical example. Jayapataka Swami, he used to come and do preaching in Bangalore. This was when I was a child, when I was a teenager. And he came to one of my friend's house. In the altar was Shiva, Ganesha, Durga, Muruga, Ayyappa Swami, all kinds of gods, okay? All kinds of things were there. He came there, he said, very nice. Just put Radha Krishna on the top. Let everybody else stay where they are, but make sure that Radha Krishna is on the top. So the point was, we need to help people. We have to meet people where they are at. Not expect them to be somewhere else. They are where they are. And then you uplift their consciousness, engage them in devotional service. That's Jayapatak Maharaj's mood. That was Guru Maharaj's mood. That was Srila Prabhupada's mood. At the same time, some gurus, they have their own realizations. They have their own relationship with disciples, and it becomes their duty. This example you gave me is an African family or is an Indian? Who's this people who had Lakshmi Narayan?
Oh, he of course, he is a Ghanaian, but
okay, that makes sense then. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense because it's a duty of a ISKCON guru to reorient, realign. One thing is, let's say, my great grandfather, was worshipping Lakshmi Narayan. Like, for example, I have a deity that comes from my 3 generations of ancestors. I have a little Bal Gopal. Maybe I wouldn't buy a Bal Gopal and worship him if it was just, but it's coming from parampara, my family. Then it's a different thing. Then if we are converted Hare Krishnas, we don't start digging here and there, and you know what I mean. Because what we all have something called Kula Daivata. We all have family deities. Even Christians, everybody, you cannot just say, oh, I'm not Christian anymore, I don't like Jesus Christ. No, that would be an offense. Jesus brought you to Krishna consciousness. Jesus can still help you very much. So we don't give up, right? It's Yukta Vairagya. We use the situation we are to uplift ourselves in Krishna consciousness. So I would say, don't give up your culture. I mean, African culture is beautiful. Why would you want to give it up? Just align that, or like give a right framework of Gaudiya Vaishnavism and see the right, put it in the right place. Don't, because we have done mistakes in the past, say 30 years ago, 40 years ago, throw everything out, only this. That can be fanatic. But then me as an Indian, I lived in Africa, right? I lived in Ghana for some time. Now I can't say I'm giving up all my Madhva tradition and I'll adopt to African culture, and I've been to some African festivals and dance, and I did it, but it's not that I'm going to convert and start taking up some rituals like that out of the blue. Similarly, if you grew up in an African culture, you don't just come pick up some deity you like, oh, I like the opulent form, I'll start worshipping this. Come on, you became Krishna conscious because of Srila Prabhupada, because of Lord Chaitanya, and they tell you that you worship Gaurnita, you worship Radha Krishna, we stay in line. So we have to consider, it's common sense, no? We have to see the cultural reasoning why we are doing that, and we have to stay loyal to the parampara. And the guru has a right. If this was Guru Maharaj of the devotee, guru has a right to correct the individual. Like I remember when I had these deities from before, and I asked both my husband and my Guru Maharaj, am I supposed to give up all this and just only worship? And they said, no, you don't have to give up. You just add Gaurnitai, but just make sure you take care of them.
Yeah.
There's space for individuality. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not like cookie cutter religion. I mean, ideally it's not, but like Prabhupada says in the purport, some Shiva devotees are weird. They drink and smoke ganja and drink all kinds of things, and they may do that. So we can't just take some principles from somewhere 1,000 years ago and try to put it now and say this is Vedic. We have to be careful. We should be aligned to Guru Sadhu Shastra. We need some alignment. Again, if it's a Vaishnava tradition, see why you're doing that. Because maybe Maharaj corrected the person because maybe the person had some motives for material wealth as the goal. So they were worshipping Lakshmi Narayan for material purpose.
Well, thank you so much. I think someone has, I think Mitravinda Devi has something in the chat room. Mitravinda, can you unmute and then go ahead if you can? Otherwise, Mother Radha, you may take her comment question in the chat.
Yes, she's making a good point. Mitravinda is saying there's nothing materially geographical about this Bhakti Vaishnava practice. Not India or Africa. Factual India does not exist on this planet. I don't know what that means, but material culture is not comparable to our goal of Bhakti in Krishna consciousness. Yes, Krishna consciousness is independent. At the same time, we don't have to throw the baby with the bathwater. If we have some good values, good cultural experiences that helps us to stay more devotional. Bhakti is about devotion. If it helps us to stay devotional, there's nothing wrong in keeping the frame of cultural experiences. For example, okay, the way African devotees dance, nobody can dance like that. I just have to tell you. So it's not that, no, you have to all become like Indian people, only do the Swami step and just hardly move in the temple. You can't make African Vaishnavis to do what in South India, many of the temples, the women have to stay all the way in the back. You're not allowed to dance. There's all this kind of weird things. But those things doesn't, like she's saying rightly, that's not Vedic.
Yes.
That's just some Indian cultural whatever. I don't want to use the word in the Bhagavatam class, but it's some cultural thing, right? Who says that puri dipped in oil or ghee, that's Vedic, you should eat that every day? So some cultural or habits that we need to be wise to not call it Vedic. You have to adjust it, desha kala patra, time, place, and circumstance. We have to be very strict about the principle, but when it comes to details, we can apply individuality of Indian culture or African culture, but we cannot say that is Vedic sometimes. Even Indian things are not all things are Vedic. I'm just telling you as an Indian.
Well, thank you so much. But Mother, before anyone asks another question or whatever, I would want you to throw a little bit more light on some things you said. And I want you to do that because obviously you are not aware of it, in the sense that there has been some growing back and forth Vaishnav Siddhanta, not very much clear to some devotees. And so devotees have been debating back and forth whether this is right or this is not right for us as Vaishnavas. For example, you rightly said we have to meet people from where they are at. We do not expect everybody to quickly give up whatever they're holding on to become full-fledged Vaishnavas, which is beautiful. Now, this ideology has led to some devotees thinking that, because some devotees are even quoting Gita 7:16, where Krishna says 4 classes of pious men approach the Supreme Lord. And so some devotees feel that if someone wants to approach the Supreme Lord for riches, for wealth, then you have to meet him from that angle. And therefore, you do something to help this individual solve his financial handicapped situation. And some devotees, including me, think that that is improper because Srila Prabhupada, he brought us the teachings. He knew these 4 classes of men that approach the Supreme Lord. But as far as I know, he did not teach us any specific ritual for getting wealth or riches. And so I would want you to throw a little bit more light as to meeting people from wherever they are at, and then pulling them into devotional service. And this is coming from you. Does that mean that we have to do what they do and gradually bring them out of it? Or how do we do that? How do we meet them from where they are at, and at the same time, stay loyal to what Srila Prabhupada gave us? It's a very big issue going on amongst the devotees on this platform. So if you may give some insight. Hare Krishna.
Jai, this is very much Kanteya Prabhu realm of questions. I think my Kanteya Prabhu will be able to answer. As Mrs. Kanteya Prabhu, it's not my so much my expertise. But one thing that comes to my mind, I was reading Bhakti Tirtha Swami's books. He's very clear on these principles. This is more than 20 years ago when he wrote this book. He was way ahead of the times, and they called him controversial. And he just sticks to those principles very clearly. What loyalty means, and where is the time, where is the place to fix, what do you say, like adjust the details about women, or what leaders and how leaders are supposed to be. All those things very, very, very clear. This is he writes the commentary to Madhurya Kadambini, and he goes on about it. So what comes to my mind is, as a leader, also what my Guru Maharaj often told me to do, personally told me to do, showed me through examples, meeting people from where they are at means engaging them in devotional service. engaging them in Harinam, Kirtan, Prasadam, programs, studying of the scriptures. That's the duty of a leader. Not that we have to convince them 100%. Which was that book we were reading? I think it's some, I don't know if it was Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj or directly Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but something about you don't have to have full faith to start doing devotional service. You can start from wherever you are, whatever, or you don't have faith in deities, no problem. You have faith in the holy name in Kirtan, start from there. Because there will never be a time that every question is answered and everybody is going to be on board and everybody has the same thing. It's not possible. This is material world. Not possible. Kali Yuga also. That's only possible in this, even in spiritual world, there are parties, by the way. That's different. But so the point is, somehow or another, invite Bhakti Devi, somehow or another, be engaged in devotional service. Whether through tears or through hands up or hands down or head up, just be engaged in devotional service. Navavida Bhakti, somehow or another. And one of, even any of the process, don't have to have faith in all of them, even just one. I know great Maharajas, Vaishnavas who are not so much into Archa Vigraha, deity worship, they're not so much. But they're really amazing devotees, really amazing. And I know some people who, I'm thinking of Maharajas, certain Guru Maharajas, they're not so much into Sanskrit slokas and verses. Whereas, nowadays the preachers that are coming up from Mumbai, Chowpatty area and the brahmacharis, like, they know Ramayan left and right and inside out and all the verses they memorized, drunk it, digested it, and the verses are growing out of their hair pores, So there are devotees like that who have that capacity, the taste, but it does not necessarily make some great devotee, great Vaishnava, pure devotee giving classes. He doesn't quote many verses. It does not decrease the capacity of the message or the principle. So similarly, somehow or another, be engaged in devotional service. Kirtan, Bhagavatam, Vaishnava. Two things actually Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita. प्रभु का है वैष्णव सेवा नाम संकीर्तन दुई करे शुइग्र पावे Shri Krishna charan. So Nam Sankirtan, chanting. Thank you. A lizard here is confirming Indian ritualistic thing. And Vaishnav Seva. Vaishnav Seva. Serve the Vaishnavas, chant the holy name. And can I be very honest and candid and open? Personally, for me, many other things other than these two as the core is only my own mind distracting me from the goal.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of complications. Of course, like I said, some devotees that may be their service. Like my husband, it's kind of his service to do those things. Not me. It's not my service. For me, it's something else is my service. So I write on my mirror, Sri Radha Govinda Dasi, mind your own bloody business. Mind your own business. So sometimes it's a distraction of the mind. Hey, they're this, which party, who's, they're saying Prabhupada said this, no, the other person is saying Prabhupada said that. It's just distraction from, instead of crying to the Lord, I am just using that fire elsewhere. That's me. I don't know. What's your service? If your guru gave you the service to go and fight people out there, have a snowball fight with Prabhupada said versus at each other. I don't know. I can't say what's yours.
Well, actually, the question I asked, I think it is a disservice for me to ask you the question because one, I cannot go into details what it is. And because I am unable to go into details, that will also make it impossible for you to give the correct response. I heard some time ago from Srila Prabhupada's memories, one Prabhupada disciple, Vaishnavi, was sharing that one Vaishnavi devotee was sharing with Srila Prabhupada that it's very difficult for her to live together with the other Matajis. And Srila Prabhupada who at the time didn't actually know what actually was the reason the Vaishnavi was saying that. So Prabhupada just ordered her, don't worry, you just go ahead and chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and everything will be okay. And then later on, some of the devotees who heard this exchange actually confided in Srila Prabhupada that Srila Prabhupada, this Mataji is speaking to you this way because she has no affinity for male counterpart. She has affinity for females. And that is her problem. That is her difficulty. And that is why she cannot cope with the women. But because Srila Prabhupada didn't understand it at that point, that was her challenge, Srila Prabhupada said, you go ahead and then chant. And so when Srila Prabhupada understood, then Srila Prabhupada ordered that they should find a separate place for her. So it's similar to what I'm talking about in the sense that someone or some devotees feel that if, and excuse me to say this, that they also made like a reference similar to what you just said. Bhaktivedanta Maharaj did this, did that at the time some people did not understand him, but it's all okay. These people have made such, excuse my language, silly comparison. Very infuriating, very annoying because Bhaktivedanta Maharaj is my guru. And I'm not speaking like this because he is my guru, but I know how he preached. But there are these people who claim that they're doing preaching and they're doing rituals. Like we're talking about Lord Shiva with the third eye. In Africa, in Ghana, people have this concept of third eye. They want to see more than what the two eyes can see. And somebody comes to us, to me as a Hare Krishna person, and I tell this person that I have a ritual I'm going to perform for you, and your third eye will open. And you see, how does that fall in line with Krishna consciousness teachings? So these are some, that's why I'm saying that I apologize for actually asking you the question because one, I'm unable to go into details and share with you, especially in public, in details what everything is going on. But there is a very serious problem, which is like His Grace Kantiya Prabhu oftentimes says, apasidanta, which is gradually becoming acceptable. So this is the danger. I see His Grace Ashwara Prabhu has something to say.
Just I want to highlight this sentence in Prabhupada purport that we can conclude kind of the answer to your question. See, Lord Shiva once swallowed an ocean of poison, and thus his throat became blue. The imitation Shivas try to follow him by indulging poisons, and thus they are ruined. Right? The real purpose of Shiva is to serve the soul of the soul, Lord Krishna. The point this Prabhupada is already predicting that sometimes the spiritual master is okay, but some of the disciples may deviate and start forming their own philosophies and this. I'm just saying that welcome to the material world. It can happen. It can happen, you know. Yeah. Yes. Yes, Shriman Varaha Prabhu.
Shravara Prabhu, are you still there? Well,
my battery is also 2%. It will collapse any moment. So yeah, yes, Prabhu, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Please accept my humble obeisances. All right. Thank you very much, Mother. Your Sangha is always very sweet, you know, especially hearing your beautiful voice chanting all those Vedic mantras. Thank you. When you were speaking, I was beginning to feel that this can lead to a polemic because we were already in the middle of it here, like Sadi Prabhu said. And now he brought up the question, and also he did not clarify. I think from all what you're saying is correct, and I understand perfectly all what you're saying is correct. The argument is that leaders shouldn't compromise the philosophy. That is the argument. But followers, whether people who are new to Krishna consciousness, whether those who are practicing Krishna consciousness, whether Africans, whether Indians, they have the choice how they want to practice. Like you rightly said, not everybody can come to the pure platform immediately, and whatever they've been used to, like Christianity or whatever, they may still want to retain some part of that, and that's okay. That is the meaning of meeting them where they belong. But the leaders cannot make it a duty to start using the local culture as a way of preaching, to start presenting the local culture as our way no, I mean, like, for instance, you say people are desirous of wealth, okay? So the local tradition for attracting wealth using cowries or using bird feather, that is okay. And then you advertise that. Now, not only just saying that it's okay, but you advertise that publicly. That's what we're saying. No, a leader cannot do that.
No, yeah.
A leader is a misrepresentation, especially when you're publicizing that, making it into the public, and you are known as a Krishna leader. So this is the bone of the contention. We are not against people meeting people at their own level and adding Krishna consciousness or the holy name or Vaishnava practice to whatever they're doing, and gradually they will see the beauty of Krishna consciousness. That's okay. That's I agree. But a leader cannot descend so low to be using the local means of attaining wealth or whatever rituals as representative of Krishna consciousness. That is not acceptable. And that is what we're saying, has to stop. Has to stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Very,
very, very good points, Pro. Totally agree. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, again, I don't know the local things. Little bit when I was in Ghana, I heard certain things. I got cheated by some devotees because I was too naive. Many things happened, and yeah, I have some thing. But yeah, every country has its own problems. Believe me.
Yeah.
India has its own. We have our own issues. So thank you. And again, my battery is at 1%.
Yes.
Sorry.
You heard that. Yes. But in fact, thank you so much. Let me say this, that somehow the very text that His Grace Kantia Prabhu had the last time he spoke here also had some concerns about these topics. So asked questions along this line. And like you said, Prabhuji so expertly answered so beautifully. And excuse me, I followed up because of the texts, two texts, and the delivery, and also there are new devotees here, so that they also get to understand what is to be done, what is not to be done. So I apologize for putting you in a situation where it's difficult to give very succinct and appropriate answer, because if you, like I gave Shri Prabhupada's example, this is Jagat Guru, but at the time he didn't really know in details what was the reason why the lady said it's difficult for her to be amongst the ladies. So first of all, my apologies. And then Thank you so much. Like Srimad Bharat Prabhu said, it's always so beautiful having new association and also chanting all these beautiful hymns. It's very purifying. Dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, Her Grace Sri Radha Govinda Devi, for sharing her love and wisdom with us all as always. Jai. Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Krishna, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.
Ananta Priti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
Jagat Guru Vishnu Prabhupada ki Jai. Her Grace Sri Radha Govinda Devi ki Jai.
Jai.
Vaishnav to Vaishnavi devotees.